Greetings, fellow Ambazonians. Welcome to this platform, The People's Right, a platform where we put our people first. I am Capo Daniel, the chairman of the People's Right Advocacy platform. Today, we want to take you into memory lane to revisit the events that triggered the war between the Anglophone of the Southern Cameroons that we want to call Ambazonia against the central government of the Republic of Cameroon led by Paul Biya. For you to really know the big defeat of Cameroon and the success of our campaign for self-determination to assert ourselves and assert our identity, I want you to see the fall of the hardliners in Cameroon, the fall of the camp that caused this war that have led to over 5 million people being affected by a war of shame, a war we should have never ever fought. It was in 2016 where anger had spilled over for over years of marginalization, years of oppression, that the civil society rose up to say enough of the encroachment, enough of marginalization. When it came to a point where our teachers, our administrators were being replaced by French-speaking Cameroonians who could not speak or had no knowledge about our own orientation. Our judges were being replaced. Our teachers, our civil society rose up to ask for something very, very simple: the reform of Cameroon to protect and safeguard the Anglo-Saxon system of our education, of our judiciary, and the creation of an Anglophone law bar association, just like it was during the West Cameroon. I want you to watch this video because it shows the biggest success, the defeat of the Cameroon narrative by the Ambazonian uprising, lest you forget. Let's watch this video together.
Your position is clear, it's known.
Yes.
That there is no Anglophone problem.
Yes.
You've constantly repeated that.
Yes, and I will say it. I said it yesterday. I'm saying it today. I will say it tomorrow. There is no Anglophone problem in Cameroon. And
so this is the Cameroon government official that triggered what was an agitation into a full-scale war between the people of Southern Cameroon and the central government of Cameroon, when lawyers and teachers were agitating, calling for reforms and protection of the Anglo-Saxon system, our educational system, our judicial system. An opportunity when the Cameroon government should engage and dialogue, when these debates were going on. These are the Cameroon hawks, the dogs of war that trigger this war, that provoke the armed struggle that have led to the destruction of our infrastructure, killing of thousands of people, murdering, caused great suffering for our people. Because instead of recognizing a problem that was plaguing the Anglophone zone, people like Atanganji Paul, they rose up to dismiss the existence of this Anglophone problem and exacerbate the situation, even triggering a war that has led to the death of thousands of our people. I want you to listen to the most dangerous denier that led to the war that we are fighting today. Listen.
giving facts to justify what I say. Prof has said something which is important. He says that an Anglophone has never been a minister of defense in Cameroon. Then Reverend Father said that Reverend Father Pastor said that we have to, that the Anglophones will not more talk in the bush, they are inside the parlor. As far back as 1983, President Paul Biya said that you don't need to stay in the bush to air your views. President Paul Biya said, in fact, in French he said, mais vous n'avez plus besoin de prendre le chemin de Maquis pour exprimer vos opinions. That was 1983. So Cameroon has been a free society.
So that is Atanganji Paul, the Minister of Territorial Administration, the current one in Cameroon, that provoked this crisis and protest into a war, quoting Paul Biya of saying that people should not go into the bush to express themselves. At the same time, the Cameroon government banned the Anglophone from expressing themselves or even organizing themselves to engage with the Cameroon government in dialogue, because people like Atanganji Paul considered our agitation, considered our protest as somehow a declaration of terrorism or things like that. So this is the cause of this war. And this is the ideology that our people stood up against to fight for. And I want you to pay attention to these things before I'm going to take you into the speech of Paul Biya, where Ambazonia defeated Cameroon, a victory that you must recognize and you must own. So let's watch the video together.
In the New Deal, Cameroonians are free to air their views. And I want to say something which is clear. I was following Radio France International other day, and lawyer Bobga, I want to quote him.
Harmony.
Bobga, I don't know the second name. I know he's Bobga.
Yeah, his second name is Harmony.
Yes, yes. And I'm not more interested in it to know the second name, because he said that so long as we don't go back to the federal system of government, we cannot solve the problems of the lawyers. That is what he said in Radio France International. And I want to talk about the common law. He started somewhere. He should go back and verify. And in this country, do they use the common law system again? I want to ask him the question.
So this is Paul Atanganji dismissing the common law system, saying that the common law system was a system of the past. We don't longer need to use the common law system. And it goes to the heart of our cry, our protest, our grievances, which is legitimate. Our Anglophone culture that was guaranteed through the plebiscite part by speeches made by Amadou Ahidjo, both in the United Nations and in his visits to southern Cameroon, that this union is not going to be an assimilation, it is not going to be marginalization, it is going to be a federal relationship between both territories that are going to protect the system of the Anglophones. As a matter of fact, I have the statement of Amadou Ahidjo when he actually said in Fumban. I will give some of those statements for people to read the content of his speech in Fumban, where he said that both systems were not compatible. So this is Atanganji Paul advancing the case that our Anglophone law is dead. It do not even exist in the so-called Cameroon now. That our people do not even have the right. It is an old thing and something that is of the past. This is at the heart and the core of our grievances, the heart and the core of our advocacy to protect and safeguard our institution, our cultural heritage, and our way of life, our way of thinking in Cameroon that was dismissed by people that are led by Atanganji Paul and have been fighting against any reform of the Cameroon system that were put in front to fight our people on behalf of the system of Cameroon that you must recognize and you must know, lest you forget. So let's play him again so that you can hear exactly what he said.
Of government, we cannot solve the problems of the lawyers. That is what he said in Radio France International. And I want to talk about the common law. He started somewhere. He should go back and verify. And in this country, do they use the common law system again? I want.
So that is Atanganji Paul asserting the Cameroon position. That do they use common law system again? To tell you people that while we were there in Boya, in Kumba, and Bamenda, trying to protect our common law system, the people in Yaoundé have made up their mind that there is no common law system again. That is why the Ohada law system, French system of economic, that was adopted by Cameroon in Semak, did not have an English translation because their intention was clear: to completely annihilate, carry out a cultural genocide against our own identity and against our own culture. These are real things to us. For them, it is a matter of imposing, projecting their own system over our own. For us, it's a matter of our identity, our pride, our way of life. And this goes to the core of our Anglophone crisis. It goes to the core of our Ambazonian call for separation if we cannot be accommodated. That is the reason why we pick up arms to defend our villages that were being burned, because our common law system was being dismissed. There was a plan to completely wipe it out. The Cameroon government was imposing magistrate, administrators, even teachers in our territory who to come and impose the French system upon ours. So listen, continue.
Ask him the question. We are talking about the common law. It started somewhere. What is the history of the common law today? And I want to tell him that, okay, he says that so long as we don't have a federal system of government, he thinks that we cannot solve the problem. There is no federal system of government. It's a past issue. We don't talk about things which we have, those facts have been treated, it's over. We talked about the reunification, we came back to 1972, the unification, and now we are talking about a united Cameroon. So there are certain things we can dialogue. I want to make my my position very, very clear. And I don't talk on behalf of the government, but it is official that we have a red line we can discuss. The Prime Minister was in Parliament for 2 or 3 days discussing with people. Am I right?
And at the end of the government, of course.
Yes, the government. Yes. So what I want to tell people is that no, the government is open to dialogue. You understand? And talking about positioning, the Minister of Defense in any country, Prof, is the head of state. I am here as the permanent secretary to the National Security Council in a country. I'm an Anglophone. General Ivo, he has been the director of presidential security for about 17 years. Or every in the world, if you don't have confidence in somebody, you cannot give him that responsibility. So if it is, when we talk about marginalization in terms of responsibility and post and things, I don't agree, because we have had all what we need to develop. It's important, because he said something that I've been hearing the story that an Anglophone has never been appointed Minister of Finance, an Anglophone has never been appointed a Minister of Defense or the Delegate General. Let us be serious.
Let me just point them there and then come back and say the story.
Yes, no, yes. Let me have a pause. But let us land. I want to end by saying that the Prime Minister, head of government in this country, since 1992. We have had them from Prime Minister Chidiachu to Prime Minister Mafani Musonge to Prime Minister Enoni FM, and for 24 years,
that is beautiful.
The Prime Minister is Prime Minister, head of government.
But so, have you gone through?
So, as you can see, our lawyers, our teachers were not protesting for appointment. Our Anglophone crisis was not just an issue for appointment. There is the issue of disproportionate appointment in the central government, which is not. It's just a reflection of the marginalization. The content of the Anglophone crisis, our grievances, is the protection of our identity as Anglophone people, the protection of our institutions that are inherent with our identity, the common law system, our educational system, our inherited institutions from the British system, our respect of human rights, the police system that we are used to. This goes to the heart of our identity that Atangipo, as a sitting top government officials, is telling our people that it is something of the past, that the common law is no longer even existing, according to them. That is their imposition, and that is a position that has provoked Anglophones to stand up and say we have to fight for our identity. So let me roll the tape so that it goes through for me to present to our
social media. Mr. Kanganji.
If you are ignorant, you don't know.
I know. This is what they're saying. This is what they're saying. That if you reduce what you call the problem of English-speaking Cameroon, let me put it that way, since the Anglophone, apparently an Anglophone is a problem, it's a very delicate word. If you reduce the problems that the other people, the other Camerooners, the other side of the Mungo feel today to just positions and food and all those things are elementary, then there's a problem. That's what they're saying. I straight back to you. Beyond that, do you think there's any other issue that is wrong or that is going wrong within the Anglophone community of which you are a part in?
I don't know, as a specific problem. The answer is no, because go to Garua, go to Maura, go to Ngaoundere.
That's precisely where.
Go to other regions. You see, when you
so you can hear him dismissive of our crisis, our grievances, of the grievances that were being posed on the table by the lawyers and the teachers and other segment of our civil society, saying there is no problem, absolutely, and trying to escape and link it with issues of appointment, issue of development. But we all know that at the core, he has dismissed that there is nothing like a common law. He will say that the president have said that people don't need to go to the bush to express themselves, at the same time saying that the government have a red line where our identity do no longer exist, where they impose their own friend system over our own people and completely destroy everything that we hold so dear and that are very critical to our identity and our historic inheritance from our colonial past. Let us listen to the
hospital, which is you don't have a hospital here, you don't have a health center, you have bad roads here, you don't have them, you have those problems everywhere in this country, and that's why the government has a program of development, and each year the ministers who are directly concerned, they bring out those and we see what can be done. It's a government policy. So what I'm saying, we don't have specific.
Let us go back. Let us go to the crux of the matter. All right, we'll come back to you. Let us us go to our videotapes. We sample the issues at stake now, since we're entering into it. Let us sample the issues at stake now. We'll come back, we'll continue the debate. I will give you the microphone just after that.
Early this month, a group of individuals, self-styled Anglophone lawyers, take to the streets, based mostly in the predominantly English-speaking Northwest and Southwest regions. Their demand: the protection of a colonial heritage, the common law.
We are gentlemen, we are peaceful, and we have never meant any violence. Our idea is to make our point heard. It is now more than a month that we have been on strike after having notified the government about our dissatisfaction with the erosion of the common law.
Days after, they take a series of actions.
So you can hear very clearly that a petition in writing have been made to the Cameroon government and even directly delivered to the head of state about the grievances that is being posed, the erosion of the common law system, the erosion of our Anglo-Saxon educational system, and other segments of our civil society that are critical to our identity and our way of life. And the Cameroon government decision was, it is a red line. There is no Anglophone problem. There is no common law. It is something of the past. And we can only talk about the grievances that you people are worried about, development and appointment, which are all superficial, which are not even part of the petition. And this is the core of the contention that initiated or that led to this war that we, Ambazonia, have successfully overcome, which I want you to know. So let's continue with it.
Including what Justice Minister Laurent Esso calls an illegal formation of an Anglophone Lawyers Association. The lawyers' cultural protection strike is followed by that of teachers with a similar objective, this time in the education sector.
That a new institutional framework to look into the problems raised by Anglophone teacher trade unions will be put in place by Wednesday, 30th November 2016. That this framework will meet and work in Bamenda for the convenience of the majority of the members. That when at least one other request is fulfilled on or before the 30th of November 2016, the strike shall be suspended.
The trade union.
So as you could hear, even Patasan Wilfred, who was part of the teachers' lawyer, an elected official, is willing to call up the strike that we started if certain conditions are met for reforms. So this were a gentleman approach, calling for no violence, to advocate for the protection for our system that was being eroded. And what was the Cameroon government people's reaction? The common law system is no longer in existence. The Minister Laurent Esso said that the bar association that was being created to represent Anglophones, which was needed if our system is being eroded, for them to be able to organize themselves and protect and advocate themselves, advocate their positions, that was all illegal. So this goes to the core of our contention and the agitation that we have, which I want you to be aware of. Let's follow the tape to the end.
Including the Cameroon Teachers Trade Union reject an erosion of the Anglo-Saxon system of education through government-planned harmonization policy.
It's only one person who died. Investigations are ongoing to establish the responsibilities. I'm therefore appealing to everybody to resume their normal activities and calling on those who have called for a strike, like the governor has stretched their hand to them, to join government to find out long-lasting solution to the problem they are raised to government.
We are children of 11, 12, 13 up to 17, 25. If I saw anybody slightly old, though he was getting that, should be 30. There's nobody of your age on the street. And when dissension goes to such people, it is very dangerous for us. We can summon a big rally in town here where we'll talk to the people. but it should be after solutions to the teething problems that the people are asking for have come in from Yaoundé. When those solutions come, we can now call the people, talk to them. And the talking will not end here. We can go now to the divisions and subdivisions to talk to the people there.
Children have to listen to their fathers. Put your case in peace, not in disorder. Over 50 years of independence will be here like that. We're handing to them in whole, not in pieces.
After November 21 this year, things seem to be out of control, and the government steps in with a package for dialogue. Press conference here, strike action over there. The tic-tac goes on. Prime Minister Philemon Yang travels to the Northwest region to quench the situation of both the striking lawyers and teachers. The outcome is yet to be known.
So, as you can hear very clearly, that was the contention of issue. When Philemon Yang traveled to Bamenda, what happened? Atanganji Paul went on to RFI and said that there is no Anglophone problem, the common law system do not exist. And that was the issue. That was what we're fighting for, to protect our own system, to protect our cultural heritage and our identity that is inherent in our human dignity as a people. The denial of people like Atanganji Paul, the Cameroon government that rejected to solve this problem, their rejection of dialogue, their creation of a red line, their deliberate attempt to assimilate our people and to erode our system was the contention of the issue. We fought a war that was brought to the villages of Ambazonia. Our villages were being burned, our youth were being destroyed, tortured, our lawyers were being subjected to humiliation and torture for fighting for something that was legitimate, that was being denied. Until 6 years down the line, the head of state of Cameroon, Paul Biya, finally come and conceded and accepted defeat and recognizes that their intention was to assimilate us. The whole program where they rule out talking about the harmonization of the education system of Cameroon was all an attempt to completely wipe out our own Anglophone educational system. Their injection of justice in our system, even the bringing in of Francophones, commissioners of police in our territory, were all part of a grand scheme by the Cameroon government to assimilate and wipe out our identity and our culture. And we had to fight for this, for it to be acknowledged, which the president of Cameroon finally conceded, finally surrendered, finally accepted defeat, that indeed our Anglophone identity and culture is unique, comes from our history, and deserves not just recognition but protection. Let us hear.
And teachers, the outcome is yet to be known.
On avait la possibilité de les intégrer directement dans le système francophone.
So this is Paul Biya, the head of state of Cameroon, in France, in a public audience, international audience, admitting the truth, conceding. This is a validation of our plight. This is a validation of what we have been fighting for, what we have been killed for, what we have been banned, we have been tortured. People had to go to the bush to express. And this is Paul Biya coming to recognize it. And I want you to pay attention to the word he uses and what it means very carefully. So let's go back to the clip and play it again.
It's yet to be known.
On avait la possibilité de les intégrer directement dans le système francophone, qui était celui de la majorité du peuple, 80%.
So Paul Biya is saying they had that intention to integrate us in the Francophone system. These are all evidence and proof and admission of what we were complaining about, that they are trying to assimilate us. And this is the head of state saying they were trying to bring us to the Francophone system, integrate us into the Francophone system, which is a violation of the plebiscite accord, is a violation of all promises made in the United Nations by Amadou Ahidjo, and that was even enshrined in the Cameroon constitution the union constitution in Fumban that was created that safeguard our educational system. This was a violation of everything the union was all about. Now he's admitting. And I want you to pay attention to his word because he says no avec. When they say no, he as a president who's supposed to represent both part of the Mongo, represent Anglophone and Francophone, is telling you now that nous c'est qui? Nous les francophones, nous le gouvernement qui représente les francophones. Is telling you the divide we see and the lack of position, because if the head of state is representing the francophone, who is representing us? Where is our own power? Where is our own representation within the structure of government and the power that be? Because we know that all power belongs to Paul Biya in that system. So if the head of state is saying no, then nous les anglophones on ou dans la formule là. So I want you to pay attention to listen to what he says, because it's very important.
De les intégrer directement dans le système francophone qui était celui de la majorité du peuple, 80%. Mais je crois que les pays sont soucieux aujourd'hui d'affirmer leur identité et c'est pour ça que nous mettons sur pied un statut spécial qui reconnaît la spécificité de la zone anglophone, mais elle reste dans l'intégrité territoriale du Cameroun.
So this is Paul Biya saying that they have recognized that we have grown to maturity, and our people are asserting our identity, we are asserting ourselves, our educational system, we are asserting our common law system, and that is why he has now agreed and come to the realization that it is time to let go of that idea of banning our common law, trying to erode us, and recognizing our territory for its historical origin. And that is why they have offered us a special status. We think that special status is the beginning of a conversation. That recognition is appreciated, but it does not solve the problem. The common law system is still being integrated with the Francophone system. The bilingualism that says that English and French is equal, but when there is a problem in interpretation, the French dominate, still put our own English as a second-class language, which is not accepted. We are engaging the Cameroon government to resolve this issue in a sustainable manner. The special status have failed. The war is still going on. People are still dying on both sides. We must come together and resolve this issue and go back to the drawing table and bring the minimum for what had already been recognized and agreed by Cameroon in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Cameroon. We are not demanding for federalism anymore. We have evolved. We are proposing a mini constitution that gives self-governance to the Anglophone, that creates an Anglophone bar association to safeguard and enhance. It is not just a matter of a recognition. No, we need a protection. We need to enhance for it to strive. A country that is bilingual is good for everybody. A rainbow nation is good for everybody. Look at a diverse country like Canada. The English zone needs to have English as its primary language. It needs to have its own way of policing that respect and protect the rights of its people as they feel entitled to. Our people don't accept certain practices in Cameroon, and we will continue to feel disenfranchised so long as the system of the Francophone is being introduced in our own place. We want our system to be safeguarded. We want our identity to be protected so that our people can live in peace and express themselves, knowing that they belong to a country and they have an identity that they can be proud of. We want a power-sharing government so that the head of state is not just talking about no. When he said no, we should have an equal Anglophone president that can represent our people. The reason why you had John Foncha being a representative of the Southern Cameroon people is because he was elected. Our leaders were never appointed by the British government. They were never imposed by the Nigerian government. They were elected by our people. We want representatives that are directly elected by our people or indirectly by elected officials such as parliamentarians or members of our legislature. We want a prime ministry post, a vice president post that reflects our people, not just institutions, but the people themselves through democratic means. This is why the Ambazonian People's Right Advocative Platform, we are proposing the peace plan paper that has been adopted by over a vast majority of Ambazonian groups under the auspices of the APJ to stand and fight to establish this issue together with the Cameroon through direct negotiation. This is the position we must stand to, and this is what I want our people to know, that the position of the Cameroon government that deny, that dismisses our identity, that drew a red line, that criminalizes our identity and the advocacy of our people's right. We have defeated that position by fighting hard, by advocating hard, and it is time for us to recognize this victory, that people who stood for it, who stood against our position, like Atanji Paul and his cabal in the DDR, have been pushing for a position that refused even, they call it appeasement of the so-called Anglophone or the so-called Ambazonian groups. The head of state of Cameroon himself has admitted and surrendered, has capitulated on our demands. It is time for us to engage them and put the hard work to win the peace, not just the peace, but the future of that territory, Cameroon, that will even give our people an access to their right of self-determination to determine their own future. They should have that power. We can do it, and it is up to us to come together and seize this historic moment rather than continue to play in the hands of those proteges of the hawks in the regime that works in the DDR that continue to mock our people and provoke them into anger, or even the hardliners in our own side who see this struggle as some ideological battle. They don't see it as a real life issue. We must come together to do the hard work to build a new social contract where we can live together, live side by side, and our own identity protected. God bless you all.